Is your car starting to feel tired, like every little trip is pushing it closer to the junkyard? What if I told you that small, cheap fixes, things most people overlook, can make it drive like it just rolled off the lot? Today, I'm going to show you exactly how a $42 tool, a few fluids, and some simple habits can change the way your car feels overnight. And the first one is so basic that once you see it, you'll wonder why you didn't do it years ago. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Why do so many car owners skip the one maintenance step that could prevent most breakdowns? It seems almost backwards, but instead of starting with the simple things that keep a car alive, people often jump straight into expensive repairs once something goes wrong. By then, it's too late. The damage has already taken hold, and the bill is far higher than it ever needed to be. What's strange is that the key systems in a car actually give you plenty of warning before they fail. Yet most drivers ignore them until the repair shop becomes the only option. Think about how often you hear someone say their car just died out of nowhere. In reality, that rarely happens. Cars don't fail overnight. What happens is that routine checks, like topping off fluids, monitoring oil condition, or even checking tire pressure, get skipped. After thousands of miles, that neglect compounds like debt, and when the car finally breaks down, everyone's surprised. But what really caused it was wear and tear that could have been slowed down with almost no extra effort. Take an owner with a high-mileage sedan who faces a broken transmission. A shop quotes thousands of dollars to replace it. But here's something you don't hear enough. The actual trigger might be something as small as filthy, worn-out transmission fluid that should have been changed years earlier. Automatic gearboxes generate enormous heat. Their fluid doesn't just lubricate, it cools, cleans, and creates hydraulic pressure for smooth shifting. Once that fluid darkens, thickens, or loses its additives, every gear change stresses the mechanical parts. By the time the transmission begins slipping, fresh fluid can't save it. It's already destroyed. And this applies across the board. Engines rely on oil that thins out and loses its protective qualities after repeated heating cycles. Coolant wears down until it's unable to prevent corrosion inside the radiator or cylinder head. Brake fluid absorbs moisture that leads to spongy brakes and internal rust inside calipers. When people see a warning light, they often assume the entire system has failed. But the truth is that the root cause was neglect of basic fluids months or even years earlier. To picture it, imagine running a marathon without drinking a drop of water. At first, you push through, sweating more and more, ignoring the warning signs. Eventually, your body hits a wall, not from the distance itself, but from dehydration that came long before the collapse. That's exactly what happens in a car that's asked to endure long commutes, road trips, and daily errands while essential fluids quietly degrade. Organizations that study long-term reliability have repeatedly shown how much longer cars can last with scheduled maintenance. Some consumer research points out that engines regularly exceed 200,000 miles when owners follow mile marker checks for oil, coolant, brake fluid, and transmission fluid. It's not a matter of luck. It's a reflection of attention and consistency. Each check extends the health of the vehicle far beyond what most drivers expect. So the real question becomes, how do you know if your older car still has life left? Here's the surprising answer. It probably does. The majority of older cars don't actually fail because of their age. They fail because basic maintenance was skipped. Stick to the fluids and the scheduled care your manual outlines, and you eliminate as much as 80% of the problems that usually send cars to the scrapyard. But what happens when you do keep up with fluids and checks, yet the car suddenly refuses to start or flashes a mysterious warning light? This is where frustration begins, and where a $42 secret can shift everything. What if one cheap tool could save you hundreds, maybe even thousands, by exposing the real issue hiding under your hood? Every driver has faced that sinking feeling when a check engine light pops up or the car refuses to start. You sit there turning the key, hearing nothing but clicks, or worse, complete silence. It's frustrating because you don't know if it's a major failure or something small you could fix yourself. At that moment, most people call a mechanic, And this is where the uncertainty begins. The problem is that modern repairs can feel like guesswork for car owners who don't have the expensive diagnostic computers that shops use. You might walk into a garage with a simple no start, and the mechanic tells you it's the starter motor. That's a $400 bill on average. But are you absolutely sure that was the real problem? Here's the uncomfortable reality. Sometimes they swap perfectly good parts simply because you can't prove what's wrong. And if you don't understand the symptoms, you're stuck trusting their word. This is why that $42 tool, the BT100 battery tester, has become such a lifesaver for drivers with older cars. It's not a gimmick. It's a hands-on, accurate way to see what's happening in your car's electrical system. Older vehicles especially tend to suffer from weak batteries, poor connections, or charging system hiccups. Rather than replacing parts at random, you can plug in this one device and know within minutes if your battery is on its last legs or if the alternator isn't pulling its weight. Using it is surprisingly simple, even if you aren't mechanically inclined. You connect the clamps, enter the cold cranking amps listed on your battery, and let the tester run its process. Within seconds, it gives you a detailed readout: battery health, cranking power, and charging system status. 3 crucial tests rolled into one. For a car that's acting sluggish, this information is invaluable. If the tester says the battery's capacity has dropped too low, then you know it needs replacing. If it shows the cranking system is strong but the charge rate is weak, then you've found an alternator issue. It eliminates the guesswork that leads to wasted money. Picture this scenario. You've been dealing with a car that won't start on cold mornings. A shop suggests replacing the starter motor. That's a $400 to $600 repair depending on the car. But before saying yes, you run the BT100 test. In minutes, you discover the battery voltage is dipping too low when cranking. That means your starter is fine. The real culprit is a tired battery that costs far less to replace. Instead of an expensive part swap, you solve it for under $150. That's the power of independent testing. And here's something many people overlook. Auto parts stores and shops often run quick tests on batteries, but loose clamps or rushed procedures can create false readings. With your own tester, you control the process. You make sure the clamps are secure and the result is reliable data. That independence matters because it keeps you from being pressured into buying a new battery when yours is still perfectly healthy. On the other side, it can also confirm whether your new battery is actually performing at 100%, providing reassurance after installation. For cars that are well past their warranty period, having this level of control changes the ownership experience. Electrical issues are one of the biggest headaches in aging vehicles. Even small voltage drops can create dashboard warnings, weak starts, or stalling. The BT100 exposes those weaknesses before they become big problems. And instead of feeling helpless when that warning light appears, you get to make decisions with confidence. An old car isn't doomed. It simply needs attention in the right places. Vehicles today last longer than ever, with the average lifespan reaching 11.6 years in 2016 compared to just 8.4 years in 1995. That leap shows how far durability has come, but the catch is clear. Consistent maintenance makes or breaks longevity. Start small. Use the $42 tester to eliminate electrical uncertainty. Then focus on fluids, tire care, and minor touch-ups. These steps turn frustration into pride in your vehicle. And if simple adjustments create such dramatic changes, just imagine the difference from a complete system refresh.